What is happening, guys? Cowboy here, and today we are taking another look at Mobius Final Fantasy. So it's been a month since the game came out, but today there was an update which finally added another batch of ability cards, and at this point we now have access to all 4 elements regardless of what our job class is. So with that in mind, I felt this would be a good time to make a video kind of going into the deck building and the way that I approach my decks. So to hop right into it, we're going to go over into the decks, and I actually have one deck per each element right now, and these are kind of set up for boss killing, so that's what I've been spending most of my time doing, is just farming bosses to level up my cards. But this is the anti-water deck. Of course, we have our anti-fire deck, we have the anti-wind deck, and then the one warrior card we're missing is we don't have a high attack power wind-based card yet. So this is still our anti-earth deck, but we've augmented it with Inferno. The Inferno is maxed out, so it's still going to do a ton of damage, and on top of that, because it has Debrave, it's just a very hard-hitting high attack card. But the basic motive here for each of our decks, we're going to have a card that's high break power. Then following that, we're going to have a card that's high attack power. We're going to have one card that's AoE, and then we're going to have one support card, which is going to give us 100% skill seed draw for that particular element. So to hop more into the particular cards to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, we're going to actually go into the ability cards versus the deck. The fire deck's leveled up, so the values are a little bit higher than they would be. But to take a look, so to start, this is an example of what our break card is going to be. So there's plenty of cards that at base they're going to have 220 attack and 180 break power. And for those that are playing the game, obviously you know by now that the main way you're going to damage enemies is you're going to get their bar red through breaking it, and then following that you got to deplete that bar, and then you can get straight into damage. So the break power cards are going to be your best bet for that. Now Onion Knight, that's obviously a rare ability card that you can draw, but there are also monster cards you can get that have high break power. For example, this was a boss card, the Dynamite here, and as you can see it has the 180 break power, but on top of that it has 320 attack, which is quite a bit higher than the Onion Knight. Now the main downside to using cards like this that come from bosses is while it does have more attack and more break power, as you can see I'm only getting 6 Earth skill seeds and 4 Darkness skill seeds for the time being. Whereas if I go over to Onion Knight, I'm getting 12 and 6. Now obviously this is a 3-star card and the Dynamite is only a 2-star card, so if we were to upgrade that, it will get better. But at the same time, that kind of begs the question, why would you use your growth stars to upgrade a 2-star card when you could turn a 3 into a 4 and get much more worth out of it? So something to keep in mind. But anyway, the point here is your first card you want to focus on break power. And when I say first, I just mean a card in your deck. You can put them any order you want in the deck. Of course, for those that don't know, the very first card you put in your deck gets an experience boost, so keep that in mind if you want to level a particular card up. But in terms of just discussing your loadout for deck, you want to have a break card. Moving on from your break card, we're going to go and do an attack card. Now Thor was just added in, and this is what I would consider an attack card. As you can see, we have very low break power here with it only being at 100, but the attack is at 350. On top of that, all of the focal attack cards usually have some type of additional effect. So for example, Thor here, it adds Unguard, which will nullify defensive buffs, making that a very nice one. Inferno is the attack card for fire. It adds Debrave, which is going to lower the attack on the target. If we go over here, this is Phantom. Phantom is going to add the Barrier, which is going to lower the defense on the target. But all of these, you can see they're 150, or 350, 100, 350, 100. And that's basically going to be your base card for the attack. Now, the main reason that you want that in the break is both of those are only going to cost 3 to 4 skill seeds to use, depending on the level of the card. And on top of that, you're getting maximum break power to get the breakout, and then you're getting maximum attack power to do tons of damage to the boss. Following that, each deck generally has an AoE card. Now, you can go for either the Wave Cone AoE or the full AoE. Raiden, for example, 180 attack power, cone attack. The alternative here would be Jormungand, where we have 240 attack power. Now the main difference here is obviously we're getting more attack power. This is going to hit everybody, but at the same time that's going to cost 6 orbs to drop out, whereas Raiden is only going to cost us 4 orbs to drop out. So it is a bit of a trade-off. Personally, I like to go for the 240 hit everybody cards, even though it costs a little bit more. I find that the cone attacks, you're lucky to hit 4 people with it since it depends on the positioning of the enemy, whereas a card like this is going to hit everyone regardless. And then the final card you're going to have in your deck is going to be a specific elemental support card. So for the Earth deck, we're going to use Lutrapan, and that's because we have Earth Force here, which is going to make it so that we are only going to draw Earth Orbs for several turns. And there's also Shift style support cards, so you could get Earth Shift, and that would turn all of your cards into Earth. But personally, I feel the Force cards are much, much stronger, because that way, as we combat, everything we're drawing in for like 4 turns is going to be Earth, versus a Shift card where we could just have full orbs, we turn them into Earth, but once we use them, we're back to drawing whatever. So that is the basic breakdown for each of your decks. On top of that, if you want to augment something, if you don't feel you need to draw power, but instead you want a little bit support, I would highly recommend picking up Hades. This card's just devastating. Like, for a while I ran the Unicard that came with launch just because it was such a powerful heal, but Hades is so insane. Like, the amount of health you drain with the attack and ultimate restore when this card's ability is up, it basically makes you invincible. So something to keep in mind. So either way, now that we've gone through the decks, let's show you things in action. So up first, we got a, Earth Golem. So I'm going to hop over here, pull out our Wind deck. Now, as for the rental card, just to take a look at our loadout here. So with this particular class, we have Fire, we have Wind, and we have Earth available. Wind is the focus point of this class, so we have our Wind cards on. We're not going to bother putting an Earth card, because any Earth Orbs we get, we're going to be pulling into defense to give us a buff against the boss. So because of that, any other element we want to pull here in our rental should either be a Fire card, or if not a Fire card, a Support card. So there's a ton of Yunas, I don't need any of those. I'm just going to look if there's something with, yeah, here we go. Brave's a good one. Raise attack power. I usually like to try and get a second support card just so I don't get overloaded on the healing orbs, but Brave's good. Increased break power is good. Hades is good if that comes up. But in general, we're not going to need to draw another Wind card because we already have our primary Wind cards, and with this particular deck, having an Inferno on makes it so that we don't need that. But if I had the Wind card to replace that, I would probably try and pick up a Fire card just so I had something to dump out those skill seats with. So these guys are like really, really basic bitches. We can probably just attack and take them down. Yeah. So this one's a little bit stronger. So to start, going with Wind Sword. And you can see instantly the entire break bar is now down on the enemy. And we're not going to bother with Inferno simply because it is a fire-related enemy, so that's not going to help. But here we go. Now we're up against a Golem. So same strategy as before. Actually, I should say the first thing you're going to want to do once you get into the boss fight, we're going to Elemental Drive, taking the Earth cards. So now you can see we're not going to draw any Earth cards. We're going to go in with our Heavy Break ability. You can see that whole bar is down already. And then we're just going to go in. Once it breaks down, go in with your attack ability. You can do Wind Burst. And he's dead. So that's the other nice thing about having the 6-person AoE. In general, the damage on those is going to be high enough that it's on par with your damage ability. So even in this case where we don't have a 350 damaging Wind ability, we have the AoE Wind that still deals high damage in the range of 240, so that's going to help. So to give you guys a better idea of what this is actually capable of, topped back into Chapter 2, and we're going to be going into the arena. For those that don't know, after you've completed the arena as part of the storyline, you can re-enter it and keep fighting stronger and stronger bosses, which you'll get nice cards out of, and on top of that, plenty of experience. But so we've made one change up since we are going against a Cockatrice, and we know we're not going to need the AoE. We dropped off our AoE Earth move for a damaging Fire move. Since the elements this deck is going to draw are Fire, Wind, and Earth, we'll be able to spend the Earth and Fire while using the Wind for defense. Now, the only reason I'm making this switch off of the kind of deck that I showed you guys at the start is because this is a single boss battle. If there were multiple enemies, I would still keep on the AoE just so I could clear them out. But either way, let's jump into this one. So, hop straight in. Now, since we already have a fire for our support, we're probably going to go for Hades. It's really nice. Yeah, we'll take Hades. Like I said, Hades makes you basically invincible. It's absurd, the healing you get out of that. So we are going through this at Master Tier, which means all the bosses we're fighting are going to be super pimped out. Already messed up. Should have done an elemental draw there first. Didn't really have enough though. I only got a 2-turn draw out of it, which is kind of weak. But right now we really want to get some Earth Orbs to break this guy. There we go. 1 Earth Sword. And we'll actually use Earth Force. I usually like to wait a little bit, but that'll let me draw out all the Earth Orbs I need. And I do have 3 turns where I'm safe from this stuff. So with this I can start just continually hitting them with Earth Sword until I get that break meter all the way down. He's going to attack. That's the end of my pure Earth drawing, but that's okay. We got the break up, and now we just dump attacks into him. So Mjolnir, since that's his weakness, Inferno. Another Mjolnir in. If you want, we can drop out Radiant Sword. Always try to use your ultimate while the enemy is in broken state. And now at this point he's recovered. Now we don't have any wind orbs to stop the attack, so this is a good point to pop our drain, which on top of giving us a little heal will also allow us to get the combat. We're going to spend Inferno just to lower his attack. He's going to go into his hover phase. Need to really want to get a break attack out here. There's one. And now before our turn ends, make sure we use another elemental drive. Resist the wind, especially with a strong attack like Hurricane Breath. We're going to want to counter that out. But you can see just how much we're healing from the effect of Hades. Like, our health is just coming on back. It's ridiculous. We got our Earth Sword, and he's going to die here from probably Infernos. Actually, I'm going to hold off just a second here, because it'd be a lot better to kill him with an Earth ability, just for the score. There we go. You always get more of a score when you kill stuff with the element it's weak to, so. But as you can see right there, I mean, we had, you know, basically had zero concern with that Cockatrice. We just tore through it. You know, it wasn't really difficult at all. And of course, we'll get a Cockatrice card out of that because it's a boss. So, on to the next match. Come on, let me get Echo. Echo's gonna, yeah, go away. Hate that stupid fairy. So this one, we got Miasmic Lich, which is new. I'm used to fighting Didact Liches. So, with this one, at least with my experience with the Liches, they usually start Earth and then go Water. So we're gonna go for this deck here. Now on top of that, we have all of our setup right there, but we don't have a wind ability. So actually, similar to before, what we're going to do is we'll modify our deck slightly. Since we're not going to need the fire AoE card, we can replace that with a nice wind warrior card. And let's do probably you. I think you're going to be the most damaging. We have the 240. Yes, we'll pull that out. Actually, no, we'll pull out the break. Pull out the break power, just so that if he is Earth, we can still get through. Ooh, and there's an Artemis here. I'll take Artemis. I'll have enough damage to slaughter him, so having break power is going to be a priority here. I gotta go through the arena opener. Honestly, this recording software I'm using, it's just like molests my frame rate and battery. It's terrible. Okay, so right now you're Earth. So we can't defend against the the earth just because of how things are. That's fine though, we got wind, so we're gonna, the big thing here is we want to push him into his water state as fast as possible. Let's do a quick to brave on him. And draw those out. Call on Artemis, get our break power up. You can see right there, 2 hits to get the break once we had Artemis up. It's a huge difference. Yeah, and you can see kind of the difference right there. And, you know, even though wind was his weakness, we managed to do so much more damage with Inferno just because this is an ability focused around breaking the target. Alright, now he's in a Titan form. He should be switching his affinity to water soon. I don't know why he hasn't yet. There it is, Precept of Water. Perfect timing. He's broken. Use our elemental drive. And now we're just going to absolutely destroy him. Lower your attack. Get that out for more break. Harbinger's not going to save you. And we got Flame Force. This is where the fight ends. Inferno, 2 Inferno, 3 Inferno. Not even gonna need the 3rd Inferno. He's going down. Yeah, so as you can see, just crapping all over the Lich. Let's see which card he gave me. No, he's not gonna give me a card? Oh, you cheap bastard. I know one of those Liches I actually got an Ice Sword card. It's the one that was replaced by the previous ability pack, but it was interesting to see that because there weren't ice cards out then. So I was like, oh yeah, I finally got an ice card. Let's see. Final thing is a Didact Lich. Okay. So once again, we'll go up against this thing with the same deck. Let's see what we can get here. No, we need something useful. Oop. Accidentally hit back. We'll take Hades. Drain's pretty good. If we can't have break power, we'll take Drain. Which we won't really need break power, like it does help, but it's not completely necessary. Come on, put me up. Alright, so similar to before, it's going to start off with Earth. We're going to break it, push it into its Titan form, and then just blow this thing up. So I'm going to try to avoid drawing on my water for now. Instead, I'll use Drain to keep myself up. I want to save Flame Force for when I get it out, and I think I'm going to have to. I just have too many waters to not draw them. There's Heightened Form. Alright, we should see him making the transition to water soon. So we're going to start going for our breaks here. We got enough to use Flame Force as needed. We really want to break him first. Fearful Chill. There it is. Get one more Wind Orb to spend on the break. That's good. Now we're going to defense. Put up Flame Force, and it's go time. That's the last attack you'll ever get. Put an Ares, or not an Ares, a Hades up, just so I can full drain. And now we just Inferno, and yeah, we're already at full health again. No, you're not getting back up. And that's a Didact Lich Slaughter. So all in all, you know, just really, really strong combo in building these decks. You know, being able to basically capitalize on the fact that you can break and then do tons of damage. It works out very well against bosses. And as I mentioned, having the AoE spell helps a lot against the bigger groups, because you know, if you have a mixed group of, say, earth, wind, and water, and you do a fire AoE, especially if you're leveled up properly, that fire AoE is more than likely going to still just destroy the entire group, or in the very least knock out all of their break bars. So either way, guys, that's it for the update for now. I might come back and do another video when Dragoon's finally released. That's the one I want, but as far as I know, it's not in the North American version of the game yet. I know the most recent update added Samurai into the game, but honestly, I'll take Dark Knight over Samurai any day of the week. So either way, thanks for coming by. I hope you guys are still enjoying Mobius if you are playing it, and we'll catch you next time.